Hello there everybody, how's it going? I'm the Meister and welcome back to Timbukton in another episode of the series. In this episode, guys, we're going to be working on the northern part of downtown, and we're sort of going to be revamping the train station area. So I never actually filmed the development of the first train station that I had plopped down, and ever since I plopped it down, I wasn't much of a fan of it. I thought it always looked a little bit too European for this type setting. It really looked like something that came out of like Amsterdam or something like that. So what I decided to do in this episode is to get rid of it and to go hunting on the workshop for new train stations. And I wasn't really able to find any that would sort of fit well in this area. So what I'm going to do in this episode is create my own smaller train station. So there's these little train stations here that I found on the workshop. Very small, they're almost too small for this type of city. But then I sort of played around with it a little bit and decided to combine them with this nice building on the front here. So it sort of makes it a little bit more grand and not too major, because obviously in North America, trains are not the prominent... Oh shit. Trains in North America are not really the main transportation method, I guess. So you won't really find any huge, grand train stations except maybe in like New York, and I know Toronto has a pretty big Union Station. But in Timbukton, with it being like a small to mid-sized city, I think a fairly small train station is appropriate. So that's what we're doing right now. In a little bit, we're going to develop the sort of mixed-use area a little bit to the side of the train station. And it's not going to be anything too special. There's going to be a lot of mid-sized residential, some old houses, but it is nonetheless a very important and vital part of downtown. Also in a little bit, guys, be sure to stay tuned for the construction of Dejan Brown's submission in downtown. So if you guys remember, a couple of episodes ago, we did a little contest on what to build in an empty lot in downtown, and I'm going to be showcasing the winner of that contest, which is Dejan Brown. So again, congrats to you. And also, guys, sorry for the lack of videos these last couple of weeks. I've been pretty busy lately, and there's been a lot of really important events going on in my region, but that's pretty much wrapping up now. However, I am leaving on vacation for a couple of weeks coming up now, so I won't be posting a video for another 2 to 3 weeks after this episode, so you'll just have to be a little bit patient with me on that. But after that, after I return from my little vacation, I should be getting back into my regular schedule of about a video every week or 2 weeks. And I've got a ton of exciting projects in the works, and I can't wait to show you guys that. So back to what's going on in the game right now. The area that I'm working on, the sort of idea that I had behind it is this area used to be a sort of factory land, I guess, for lack of better words. So this huge chunk of land here just north of downtown was once loaded with factories and warehouses and everything during the 1800s, during the Industrial Revolution. And a lot of those businesses have since moved out or, modernized their buildings, moved elsewhere. And it left this entire area sort of abandoned. So over the years, a lot of residential developers have sort of claimed all of that land and built apartments and houses and all sorts of stuff. So this area is quite interesting in the fact that there's a mix from old, like pre-World War II houses and 70s style, like block apartments. So this area has its sort of unique history to the city. But if you look a little closer to the dock, you'll see that a lot of those old warehouses actually remain. here's a perfect example of what I was saying before, where we have some warehouses and stuff that are still existing in the port area, but then you have some modern not high-rise, but like mid-rise luxury apartments that are right next to it. And this is sort of a trend that I've seen that's been popping up, especially looking at like port cities around me, such as even St. John. You know, you have like an old port, it looks like crap. You know, it's all like rusting and it looks half abandoned, but then like one block over you have these brand new luxury condos. So I think it's just like, I guess people pay for that sort of view. You know, it's kind of trendy, I think. But anyway, this is the case here. We have like some brand new apartments and stuff right by the port. So before developing the mall, I don't know if you guys have ever noticed, but this road here that's going under these railroad tracks, this was a highway at some point. And my plan at one point was to sort of make this a shortcut into downtown for the people from Aberdeen and anything north of Timbukton. They could easily take that highway right into downtown. And I eventually got over that idea and thought it would be more realistic to sort of make a highway come into Timbukton, but just not directly into downtown. And I thought it would be better to sort of replace that highway into an avenue, because I didn't really want to sort of divide neighborhoods in two. You know, I thought that it would sort of take up a lot more room and ruin the city. So I decided to sort of cut that highway short and instead make a nice avenue that comes into here. So it's still the same shortcut for anybody who wants to come into town. You'll just have to stop at a couple more lights than you would if it was still a highway. But yeah, the area is coming along pretty nicely. I'm actually really satisfied with the way everything is turning out here. I'm going to begin adding some props and things, although I'm not going to put too much focus on props and stuff in this episode. I do a lot of work off camera, but I don't want to drag this episode on too long, as we still have the downtown construction to do in just a second here. So I am going to detail this park a little bit, show you guys that. But other than that, it's not going to be too much details. And of course, as you know, Timbukton has a very rocky and jagged terrain, and it makes it pretty hard to build, especially in downtown where we have some pretty steep hills. So I don't remember ever downloading these assets right here. They're like some sort of park, or I'm not really sure what, but I have used them a ton in Timbukton, and they actually work really well. So I end up using them once again in this area here, just to make some nice stairs that go down this slope here, because you know, when you start plopping multiple buildings really near each other on a very hilly terrain, you end up with like jagged cliffs and stuff everywhere, and it makes the terrain really weird and hard to deal with. But these parks here sort of make that a little easier. So around this nice office building, I end up just plopping some stairs and stuff just to level out the area. But yeah, zooming out, this part of town looks pretty neat. Like I said, there's nothing too exceptional about it. However, it does have a pretty unique history, and it is quite densely populated. It's one of the more, you know, packed parts of town, which makes it pretty cool. So we're just finishing up plopping some trees here, and like I said, I'm not going to go into too much detail and showing you guys plopping down some props and stuff, but during the cinematics at the end of this episode, you'll be able to see a little bit more work. So next episode, I'd like to develop the northwestern part of the Timbukton Peninsula. So it's going to be much more residential oriented, but there will be some more modern commercial buildings as well. So stay tuned for that. I think it should be a pretty interesting episode, and I think it'll change things up a little bit. So we're going to be dealing with, like, you know, Walmarts and stuff. So it'll be pretty cool, I think. I'm not sure how much I'll be able to progress in that episode, because I don't want to make it too long. I don't really like making half an hour long videos anymore. It's just too long to edit, and you know, I hate to keep you guys waiting that long for episodes, so I try to keep it below 20 minutes. It just makes it more manageable, and I think it's just better for everybody. But anyway, we'll see how it goes next episode, and depending on how far we can get into it, you know, I might just have to make 2 or 3 episodes for the northwestern part of the peninsula, because it is a pretty big area. There's a lot of stuff that we can fit in there, and the road layout's pretty unique too, so it's going to be quite challenging to sort of fit everything into place, because I have like a general idea on what I want to plop down, so I'm just hoping that I'll have enough room to place it all down. So anyways, we're pretty much just wrapping up this area here. Again, stay tuned for the cinematics if you guys want to get a good sense of how this area looks, fully detailed and all set to go. And also be sure to stay tuned for the showcasing of Dejon Brown's submission in downtown. So I'm going to be briefly going over his building that was built in downtown Timbukton. Alright guys, this is the brand new Empyrean Tower in downtown Timbukton. It was funded by the Esterman Holdings and Finance Company, and they house multiple businesses and apartments, but the main sort of tenant in the building is Esterman Holdings and Finance. So I really hope that you like the styling and just the general shape of the building. I know it might not be as grand as you guys were expecting it. I did, however, try out like 20 different building models here, and I just think that this one fits the best. You know, there was a couple of runner-ups that may have looked really good in this area too. However, they were looking a little bit less modern than this building right here, and I wanted it to be brand new. So this is the one that I chose. Again, hopefully you guys like it. If you don't, just let me know in the comments, and you know, worst case, we can change it up if too many people complain. But you know, I really like it, and the thing is, the building wasn't too big, so I was able to, you know, squeeze in a couple of older buildings that were probably pre-existing. You know, and I made a little park in the back and a couple of parking spots for all the customers or whatever. But this is it. But yeah, let me know down in the comments what you think. Don't forget guys, I will be doing some more of these sort of contest things here a little bit later on in the series, so stay tuned for that. So with all that being said guys, I really hope that you enjoyed this episode. If you did, please give it a thumbs up. Also consider subscribing to the channel for much more content on the way. But until the next episode, guys, please take care.